Welcome to your Thursday night, very serious cardio show. I'm one of your hosts, Hi-Fi Vega, joined as always by the man who speaks eloquently and can curse with the best of them. His name's Dean Baguette.
Curse with the best of them.
Oh,
Curse words. That one always kind of makes me laugh because
yeah,
in my vernacular, it's cuss words.
yeah.
I've
You can
never.
use either one,
I
but yeah,
I think it's like tomato though.
it is, yeah.
Because
And I
it's
used
like
it because I'm doing my fancy,
your
fancy,
fancy voice.
my NPR voice. So I had to
Yes.
use curse instead of cuss.
See, I always get deeper. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show
And it
tonight.
And it
Yeah.
almost goes into like a Halloween type. As we get
Mhm.
closer to Halloween, I think it will get deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah. Good evening and welcome. Could go the opposite. Yo, man, check it out. Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Hey guys.
yeah. That's the caffeine Dean. That's the caffeine Dean intro.
I need caffeine Dean right now, to be honest with you, man. I went in early this morning. It's been rough. We were working. We have next weekend we have a training we're doing with JVC, and we're trying to get all our props in done, and we're so far behind, and it sucks. So
Well, I seen the boring life of Dean and Nando.
yeah,
And so the main video to that trip hasn't come out yet, has it?
no,
Oh, I'm
and
interested to see that now that I've
well,
seen
okay.
kind of some of the behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, and that was funny. So, is it all right if we talk about it for a minute? Just
Yeah,
kind
let's
of.
get yeah.
So we the intended purpose of that trip was actually not to film content for the channel. It was to film a commercial for Orca Designs, who
Right.
handles Focal, Moscone, Gladen, because they want like a teaser reel that they can use for their dealers to be like, hey, you spend X amount of dollars, we are going to take one of your guys. We'll pay for your guys. So they pay for your food. And let me tell you what, Jesus Christ, we ate, as we talked about last week on the other show.
Right.
Um, I was talking with another guy, and he's like, God damn, man, like the food was, he was telling his primary how the food was just insane. So they pay for your food, they pay for Mobile Solutions class, they pay for your hotel. The only thing you got to pay for is your hotel. So it's a pretty sweet deal for the amount of money you actually have to spend to go. Like
Right.
it's almost inconsequential. Like, oh, I got to buy product that I can make a lot of money on, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna, yeah. I mean, it'd almost be stupid, but you'd be surprised how many retailers don't do it.
They like undervalue it, I guess.
It's Sage 7 feet tall. Remember, I'm 5'8". Fernando is 5'2". So Sage is like 6'2". Sage and
Yeah.
Justin are both about the same height. They're tall.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
is tall in general people land.
Yeah, in general, people land. So he's probably like your height.
Yeah.
And he's freaking hilarious. But no, both Sage and Justin were great. What I thought was funny. All right. So, anyways, I'm side jagging on my own side jag. So that was something we decided to do, was just kind of film what we were doing there. So the class was working on this project that they had to build, and a lot of that, like, we couldn't show because that's part of the mystique of Mobile Solutions, is that you have to go and you have to learn. And when we were filming, there was an understanding between us, Brian, and Orca, that the content we were going to shoot is exclusive to Mobile Solutions. So
Right.
we could film whatever we wanted, but as far as the content we're going to create has to have approval.
Right.
So because it's his stuff, it's his intellectual property, not ours. So we shot our little personal trip, which was what we were doing while the class, and we intermixed little pieces of what they were doing, just to show like what was happening. But the funny part is, Fernando and I, you get caught up and you really don't take a lot of, it's like,
Oh, believe me, I'm the world's worst about this.
Yeah,
It
it was funny. The whole segment in there where Tom Miller was like doing the aluminum.
Yeah.
What he was doing was showing me how to do it, because then I had to do a bunch of them after that.
So they were putting you to work then.
Oh yeah, no, we were totally. It was totally. It was, and there again, learning from the best. I learned just as much as the rest of the guys did. I mean, it's Jesus Christ, yo, cheap stuff, sign me up. But no, so I went off with Tom, and Tom showed me how to build these little pieces that were the corner brackets for the under seat mount. Because, anyways, long story. And so he built one, and I had to build the other three. And once he showed me how to use all these tools, then I was like, oh, damn, this is really cool. So when Fernando had to build the fuse holder, I said, hey, we're going to build it out of aluminum, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So then I took him over, and I showed him everything that Tom showed me. How to use the brake, how to cut it, how to route it, how to do all the, drill press it, do the whole thing. And so it was like, we learned a ton of crap and I had to, oh my God, dude, I spent so much money when we left there. Like Fernando's like, dude, we should get one of those. We should get one of those. Like, he wanted the metal brake that they have. So I bought one of those. Tom has a 3D printer. So I bought a 3D printer.
You didn't already have a 3D printer?
No, I have a laser.
Oh yeah,
I have the more expensive of the two, apparently, unless you get industrial. But no, so we ordered the, I sat, that was the nice thing. I got time to sit down with Tom and find out like what he uses and whatnot, because he's a Glowforge user. I'm a Glowforge user, and he's thrifty and very creative. And I was like, oh, well, show, so I got to, we spent a lot of time watching these guys do stuff.
Right.
And they're all really cool. Like Sage is one of the coolest guys ever. And it's just fun. And like, it was funny that there's a scene in that where I'm sanding this acrylic thing.
Yeah.
And he's asking me, like, do you guys, and I was like, I don't sand shit. I'd been sanding that thing for like an hour.
Damn.
Well, because they tell, we're going to cover it in vinyl. And I was thinking vinyl, like cloth vinyl. No, on the subwoofer enclosure, that red ring that's on the outside of it, that's what I was sanding. They were going to cover it in sticky vinyl. So once I figured out, oh, we're going to cover in that. Oh, shit.
I'm done.
No, I got a long way to go. So, it was just sitting there, a lot of this. And, Justin made the black piece. And that's like stacked acrylic and then body filled. And I mean, dude, he's literally sitting there with this little piece of sandpaper for while we're talking for like an hour. I'm just like,
heck no.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. And that's why we had said like it's a $3,000 grill.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I was working on it. Sage was working on it. Justin was working on it. Tom designed it. Like there was 4 people working on this at various stages of its build, just like shit. There's an aluminum ring in there with that acrylic on top.
Yeah.
I had to tape that together. Like there's 20 minutes of tape just to line those things up and get them on there. It's like the hours that went into making that grill were insane,
And that what was that for?
That's Brian's daughter. So
okay.
What always happens at Mobile Solutions is they have a class project, which is these cool little things that encompass like 10 different fab techniques.
Right.
Okay. And then they have another project happening in the background that is a more advanced project. So I should say they have individual products in a class project. And so the class project is usually just they learn about what we're doing as we're going. And then like there was a scene where Tom was talking about how he's going to bend this bracket and whatnot. And there was a couple other, I don't know. There was a scene like where they're holding the amplifier and spinning it around. So they were talking about how that was made. And then I, of course, had to take it and put it into the Jeep, which was a lot of fun. So it's pretty cool. Jason's been there before. He went there with Kenwood and Idata and built something. So, but the really cool thing is like anyone can go to Mobile Solutions. If you can pay, you can go. That's it. It does. There's no special requirements. And just like Master Tech, if you can pay, you can go. But what's cool about that is that you like he took them from table saw techniques to upholstery to, I think the only thing that they might not have talked about, and they might have talked about it when we weren't there because our flight came in late, was welding. But other than that, man, they learn.
Dang.
Dude, and if there's like, these guys wanted to know more about press grills, and so no problem. Like when Tom was teaching them something in the other room, he was in the other room, him and Juan, who's really the guy that runs everything in the background and knows where everything is at. And the only reason why Mobile Solutions works, because like Juan knows where everything is at. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, this guy's a freaking master of everything. But like they put together this cool press grill presentation in like, a half hour. And then they showed the class, hey, this is how this is done, and built the whole thing. And, so there's a ton of stuff that, like, this was 4 days of just like, and in that 4 days, we were just running around in the background trying to get our shit done.
Yeah.
While
sanding the acrylic.
Yeah. And tip jar, thank you, Andy.
So, a tip for the swear jar.
Did you get to see here any full channel amplifiers? No, we just had Moscone stuff there for this.
Yeah. Well, it's a full channel sub, right?
Yes, it was a flax.
That looked cool. Cool.
So there's red LEDs behind it because of the flax material, is you can see through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was neat, and it was cool because. So we were talking about this today. Tom designed the bass knob that went in the cigarette lighter, and there again, this would probably be, all truth aside, if someone was to want to buy that from Tom, and Tom had to design and build that from scratch, with Tom's hourly rate, that bass knob would cost about $350.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's reality of it. That's how many hours it took to design it, to print it, to sand it, to paint it, to glue it together, to get it into the car and functioning. About 3 hours. And their hourly rate, maybe $350, $400, But that's custom.
Time is money.
That's not drilling a hole and putting a screw on it and going, hey, look, I got a bass knob. That was 3 layers of acrylic. That was sanded. That was painted. I mean, it was all kinds of shit that went on. The bass knob was countersunk into it. I was like, dude, you found the most complicated way to make a bass knob.
Dude, all that stuff, like, I change out my equipment so much. Like, I don't even want to have so double baffles, cool. Countersunk double baffles, usually not cool for me because I need to fit like 20 different subs in there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So I'm switching out so much that
I
would love to have something like that, though, or work on something like that. But
what I was going to say is what was cool is, so the bass knob had the cigarette lighter had an LED behind it that was lighting up white. So we soldered into that because we wanted it to light up for the bass knob. So we pulled it. I took it all apart, figured out what was what, soldered the wires onto that, and then I gave it to Fernando, and Fernando hooked it up. Then we ran wires from that back to the subwoofer enclosure to power the LED, and it was all hooked up to the dimmer. So you can dim the subwoofer along with the rest of the dash. It was really cool.
Oh, dang. That's cool.
I was like, yeah, it was RGB. Yep, it was really pretty awesome stuff.
So how many days were you guys there then total?
We got there Saturday and we left Thursday. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, it was a long trip. We were supposed to leave Friday.
Yeah.
But we had to wait a day. So yeah, it was a long trip. And then so Saturday to Wednesday night was the class. And then you leave Wednesday, sometime, and our flight was late Wednesday, which was cool because then we got to go hang out at Rockford for the day. So for an hour or two. So,
nice.
But so anyways, that video was the video that we could show anybody and have fun. The next video, I don't know what we're going to get out of it as far as whether it be something that people will ever get to see.
Yeah. Oh, so we got the explanation here.
Yeah.
If someone was hoping to see the other part of the video.
Yeah, no, Brian, you got to go to his classes, man. He's not going to show you.
Oh, I mean, shoot, man. Master Tech Expo. There you go.
Master Tech Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else has been going on then? I've seen you guys did you post about a pretty nice Mustang GT 500?
GT 350.
350.
Yeah, Shelby Cobra
Shelby. Mm-hmm.
GT 350. Apparently, that's an important thing to get right. But I mean, no, I mean, it wasn't anything special. It was
Yeah.
just he's a JL guy, and I guess I talked to him like last year,
Yeah.
and he finally got it to where we could put the stereo in for him. So, um, it's just the problem with the Mustang is it just takes a long time to do the installation. It's a lot of work
Yeah.
because each speaker needs a custom speaker bracket. You have an amplifier, factory amplifier that you have to bypass. You have speaker wires you have to run. The power wire is a pain because you have to cut everything. For when we do it, everything goes to the back of the car and then up to the front of the car. So there's just a ton of wiring. Plus you have the custom amp rack that goes into the back, and you got to make the amp rack so they can hold the spare tire inflator. And then there's all these just little things that you have to do. And then in this one we were doing a radio, and a lot of them we don't do radios. We just do like DSR1 Rockfords in them, which is really like yay because it. But this one, so we had to do a radio, which means now we got to pull the dash apart, and that dash sucks.
I bet that's not a cheap kit either. And
actually, it's an extremely cheap kit.
Is it really?
Yeah, because that's the MFT one from iData. So it's literally 2 metal brackets and a piece of plastic because it's RR. So you keep the front bezel. The front bezel is the factory bezel.
That's the best way.
Yeah, as long as you have the 8-inch touchscreen from the factory, then your doubled in will go right behind it. The problem is that we sold them a deep doubled in, and there's just not a lot of room in that dash for that.
Right.
So it is a pain to get it all in.
Did it have a CD drive in it? It wasn't Mechless then?
No, it was Mechless, but it was the 9 series. And the 9 series, they hadn't made short chassis yet. We won't get the short chassis 9 series until next year sometime, or late, maybe not even next year, maybe 2024 now. Might be 2024 now. I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's that. I mean, nothing too exciting. And then of course we finally got to publish the review of our headphones.
Oh yeah. I did watch that.
Yeah, and then some idiot commented not an idiot, someone that just came up with a really stupid comment. Oh, it's car stereo ? It's like, dude, sorry.
Yeah.
Just trying to enjoy ourselves,
Exactly. Surely somebody that likes car audio would have no interest in headphones at all.
No, or kicker headphones for that matter. Yeah, it's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, sometimes people are jerks.
Hey, did you get a chance to go to the Sound Off competition?
SQ for this weekend?
No.
No, I had a bunch of stuff to do, and I could have went Sunday, but like I had to work on video. I had to make a choice, and Sundays are usually the worst days. I like going the first day.
Yeah, you gotta go Saturday never.
Yeah,
but
I wanted to. It looked like a lot of fun.
So it's funny that the topic you picked actually dovetails into a conversation that I ran into this week that I was reading. I think it was on the Kicker fan page club. It was somewhere in one of the many things that pop up, and somebody had made a comment about how they bought some KS speakers for their car, and all their homies were giving them grief about it.
Yeah,
and one of the things that struck me as funny was this people that feel the need to make comments even though they don't know shit.
Yeah.
Well,
they have to have a take on it.
Yeah. And one guy in particular made a comment saying how like all this other stuff was better, and that the typical slam against Kicker of like, oh, they're not relevant, they don't they don't make products that consumers want, and they're into Walmart and stuff like that. So I was looking at like there's so many things that are wrong with what this guy's saying. It's where do you begin?
Yeah.
And it's like kind of taking it backwards, and it's like, okay, so the Walmart thing, and you're like, okay, what kind of moron is still arguing the Walmart thing? Like,
Yeah.
we all know they have 13 products in Walmart, and if we're using Walmart as a barometer for which something is crap, then everything you own is crap.
Yeah.
Because
you can get these at Walmart.
you can get an iPhone, you get a Samsung phone, you get Samsung TVs, everything in your life.
Yeah.
Everything in your life is available through Walmart. Okay.
Right.
So anyone that still fucking has that thought on their head just needs to find a window and look out it.
Dean has opinions on these people.
No, it's just fucking stupid. It is so fucking. You just want to walk up to him and go, dude, are you fucking like? Where do you shop for your shit? Okay, because I know you're going there to buy your fucking deodorant, your Coca-Cola, or Mountain Dew. Probably getting your steaks there because they had a really good deal on steaks last week. Yeah. You know, listen, it's where people shop. Who gives a fuck whose name's on it? You know, Target doesn't sell car stereo, but if it did, what is it going to sell? JL Audio? You know,
exactly.
Well, it's Target. They have to sell the good shit. Oh, fuck off. You know, it just pisses me off. It's like, you guys are the, you know, listen, if Scar Audio, if he could sell that shit in fucking Walmart, I guarantee you, he'd be the first fucking guy. Like, yeah, dude, what do you guys need? How much? Yeah. I'll make you a line. I'll fucking put your name on it. You know, I guarantee you he'd do it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. And the funny part is how much money and inventory it costs Kicker to sell 12 items in fucking Walmart. Like, you've been to the warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You have two sides of the warehouse. You have the one side where it's incoming, and then you have the outgoing side. Okay. Yeah. So the incoming side has all the boxes on pallets and shit like that. If you walk all the way to the back of that, right, you know, when you're to turn to go to installation, and there's like this dark corner that's just filled with boxes, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Okay.
Walmart corner.
That's 3 months worth of a Walmart order that they have to, by contract, keep in inventory at all times.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that for a minute. That means whatever Walmart orders in 1 month, which it's a lot of fucking shit, they have to keep 3 months worth of that in inventory at all times.
Right.
That's a fucking investment. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, and it's those 13 items that help people get the Cello X that they want, or
fuck yeah.
You know, that the Kicker key, anything that they make, that those items help pay for that.
Yeah, it's funny. So, anyways, that always annoys me. Just a tad.
Yeah. What's a conversation ender? It's not meant to, like, I'm all up for debate, but when you're putting conversation enders out there, it's like, this is a statement. If you say anything about this statement, you're wrong. It's like, that's not conversation. You're just trying to
you're just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just it. You're just stupid. Second part of it, which I thought was great, because Drew fired back on this part, which I thought was hilarious, when they were saying Kicker's out of touch. What I don't think a lot of people understand is that Steve Irby is the sole owner. Him and his wife are the sole owner and have been since day one of Kicker. Okay. Right. When someone says, you know, Kicker used to make cool shit in the past, and I always want to look at him and go, those guys are all still there, and they're still making cool shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same guy. The same guy has owned it since day one and owns it now. Half the guys that he are still like, there's guys that have been there for 25, 30 years. Right. It's just longer than most of you guys have been on the fucking planet, and longer than most of you guys have been into car audio. I mean, if you're 30 years old, you were 5 years old when that guy started a Kicker. He was making the good shit that you're supposedly talking about. So what are the odds of him not still making good shit? Yeah. It's not. It's just fucking hilarious. So but Drew fired back and was like, bro, like, you know, like Kicker was making DSP amplifiers before anyone was ever talking about DSP amplifiers. The Q class is like 8 fucking years old. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They make key technology, and all its iterations are more advanced than what most manufacturers, most, not all, are putting into car audio. Like, if someone says, "Oh, Kicker sucks," okay, name me your brand and tell me what kind of high level to low level adapter they make that's capable of going into a car, handling up to 40 volts, dealing with time alignment, fixing all pass filters, and de-equalizing the whole system at the touch of a fucking button. Name one.
For $99.
I think it's 129. Either
Oh,
way,
it went out. Yeah.
I
But
don't know
it's
what
cheap.
it is.
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's
either way.
fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you just look at it and go, oh yeah, XY brand. Yeah, they totally have that. Oh, they're badass. Badass. Fucking give me a break. and then like some of these guys like, oh, these guys sell thousands of amplifiers. Okay, yeah, that's why they have all these guys quaking in their boots. When I was there, I was talking to Lori, and I was complaining about that little 8-inch under seat thing that they sell, the amplified little stupid thing that I absolutely think is like the dumbest thing ever, but I get. She's like, that's one of our best selling products. We sell containers of those.
Wow.
I'm like, containers, like semi containers. She goes, yeah, we sell containers of those. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, then keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to shut up and walk away. Fuck it. I don't know.
People don't realize the scale of what Kicker sells just in general, but even compared to other big car audio companies.
Yes. It's fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. Like when you look at what, like a fucking, the 401, the little yellow 401, how many of...
Oh, yeah. Those are everywhere.
We're not talking thousands. We're talking tens of thousands, like if not hundreds of thousands of those. Yes, it's just funny. It's just funny. Oh yeah, and that has somebody's selling 8,000 or 9,000 amplifiers. Ooh, yes, that's totally got people scared. Ooh, now don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's no reason for a manufacturer to rest on their laurels by any stretch. Coca-Cola and Pepsi still advertise constantly. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. We all know what Coke and Pepsi is, but yet they're still constantly advertising. So, it's not like, the Kickers, Rockfords, JLs of the world should stop putting it out there because it's what they need to do. The other guys are doing it, but those other guys that everyone, and that brings us back to this part of the story, is the world, which is what started this when this guy said that like these guys aren't designing products that consumers want.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the world of the question you asked, because car audio has many facets. I'm a professional. I work at a retail store, which a lot of people tend to forget when we put up our builds and they go, why didn't you do this? Because it wasn't my money.
Yeah.
It was a customer's money, and he didn't want to spend that. So he got this, which I always find amusing when somebody makes the statement of, why didn't they do that? Because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Or they
this isn't a TV show.
Yeah.
Where we just call up a manufacturer, hey man, we're shooting a video on this and this guy can't afford this. You're gonna hook him up. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
You gotta pay
and
for
then
it.
When he's done, you pop his collar and be like, you've officially been pimped.
Yeah, that's not the case. These are real people that work for a living.
And he's loving the Kicker talk.
Yeah, I know he would. It's just an example. I mean, they're just an easy, they're low-hanging fruit. It's a good example.
Well, the funny part to end the Kicker thing, before we jump into it, is the people arguing, oh, this brand. The owners aren't the ones arguing it. It's people. It's people that are fans. Because if you ask them, they'll be like, oh, yeah, man, like Kicker's like a Giant or Rockford or JL or whoever, They're not the ones making the argument. It's always the people. The people.
Well, and let's be honest, it all falls down to the same thing. If you're not on my team, you suck.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. It's always that. And this is a prime example of that. You're not on my team, you suck. So this guy's problem was the guy that was criticizing the guy that bought the KS was that he's part of this little clique of car audio.
Yeah.
That is probably Team Internet, that there's a ton of, I don't know them all because they're not in my clique. So it's like, Crescendo and Scar and JP and DS18 and the Sundown stuff, and
Yeah.
there's 10 other brands that I every time I see them, I go, wow, I never heard of that. B2, so there's these other brands, and some of those guys sell to retailers. Like, I mean, I know Paul sells Scar, so
Oh yeah.
and Terra amps, and like,
Yeah, some of them are very big in their own right.
yeah,
It's just a
but
different. It's just a different scale.
yeah, brand hate is dumb. Build what you want to enjoy it. Yeah, but it's unfortunate. Like, it's just the way the world is, man. Everyone, misery loves company. Yeah, but that's just it though, because we are competitive by nature, so we always want to have the best, the
Right.
fastest. That's just what we are by humans. Humans are competitive. So, if I have something and you have something, you think yours is better than mine, and I think mine is better than yours, we're gonna battle it out.
And I'm always like, when I hear something that's better than mine, I'm like, ooh, I want that.
Right.
It
But
could be. It could just be
yeah,
my crappy install, but
right.
whatever
But
you got, like, I'm gonna try it.
right. But yes, and there again, there's always different ways to approach it. But
Yeah.
it's to say that one brand, like, if you don't know everything about something, shut your fucking mouth. Plain and simple. Like, all those brands I mentioned, I don't know anything about them. I dabble in those only when our customers have them and they bring them in. And then we get to play with them. Sometimes it's favorable, and other times we go, shit, this is like, why would anybody buy this?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, holy crap, this was a good deal. This
Yeah.
this is nice stuff. This isn't bad. you know
Right.
but I this Mustang that got a set of W6s. Fuck, W6s. Jesus
Oh yeah.
Christ. When you look at a W6, like when you hold a W6 in your hand, if you've never held a JL Audio W6 in your hand and looked at it, and then went and looked at some of these other subwoofers that are out there that are supposedly awesome,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I want this.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can just look at it and go, fuck, somebody really thought about this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a toy. This isn't some dude in his garage with popsicle sticks and paper clips, and a bunch of glue and some baskets that they got a good deal on, and some magnets, motor structures that they found from 1990 version of some weird ass speaker, and then they tap the magnets and and all this blah 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 blah. No, this is engineering, and you're just looking at it and you're like, fuck, I respect that. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not all of them. There are some.
Oh yeah.
I'm not generalizing. I'm simply saying that. But that you'll get the guy that'll go, oh, fuck that JL stuff. What they want for that fucking, I'll go buy this XY brand over here that'll kick its ass. And it's like, what is your definition of kick its ass?
Right. That's the whole point. It's like, are you just trying to get loud? If so, then
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can buy for a lot less money if your goal is loud.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as simple as that. Like, I think nobody takes anybody's goals into consideration when they're making these statements. They just, like, for themselves. They're only speaking for themselves. I would get this or I would get that.
Right. And then again, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of JL either, but I'm also not a hater of it. I don't sell the product, so
That's a good one though. If you read it,
right.
Not as big of a fan of JL as JL is.
Yeah. No, hey, and there again, JL has done a great job at marketing themselves as an elite esoteric brand, and their dealers are behind it, and the brand. Listen, the brand doesn't suck. Okay,
Oh no,
everything they make is extremely well thought out, and there's humans behind it.
Yeah, and the W7 came out like what, not 18. Has it been 18 years?
Well, probably. Yeah,
and it's basically like they've had a few revisions, but they've been slight revisions.
Yeah,
and still,
I
mean, very
probably just
few
availability
people,
of product. Yeah.
and very few people have like come out with something that can top that all around, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah. Well, but then someone will say, well, Sundown has it. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'll get loud. You could get one that gets louder, but then we're talking about,
Right.
What's your goal?
But hey, and there again, it's not love for brand. It's just understanding that like hating on one brand just because is stupid.
Right.
Everyone's time. Hey, see you, Jason. Talk to
See
you
ya.
later. But the other
Part of
thing
the
too.
Oh, go
What?
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
No, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say the
Finish.
other thing too that is kind of funny is that, like, listen, everybody is thrifty in some way. Okay,
Yeah.
like, you know, um, if a guy wants to spend $1,000 on a system, and if you ridicule somebody for spending $10,000 on a system,
Yeah.
then why it's not he's not hurting you,
Right.
just like
Right.
the guy that spent $1,000 isn't hurting you. There's no hurt here. It's just what you can do. Like, if you're buying a DSP for $6,000 and someone goes, holy shit, that's freaking ridiculous, in
Yeah.
your world it might be. But don't discount the product and say, "Oh, it's crap." Who the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You
No.
wouldn't. So it's
No.
okay.
Everybody wastes their money on something.
Yes.
Everybody wastes their money on something. Some people buy, motorcycle seats that cost $3,000. Some people buy camera lenses that cost $6,000 or more. Not anybody in particular, but just in general. Someone might have a little safe right next to them that has several thousand
No,
dollars
I
in
was
it.
I was reading that. I was
I was
trying
just
to
gonna
read
keep
part one
going.
and I was reading part 1 and part 2 where it says cheap stuff sells. I made a mint selling Boss at the flea market 25 years ago, and Boss are still putting out products. And he writes, it's not really that. It's not really that bad. They just don't tell the truth. And it's funny that you mentioned that because the current owner of Boss is very truthful. Like, that guy is on point. Like,
Yeah.
COVID was great for them. It gave them tons of capital. It gave them the ability to reinvest in the company. And honestly, it's a solid product. There again, they still make too many SKUs, and they have from way up here to way down here, and it's narrow the field a little bit. But no, they're very forthcoming with the company compared to 25 years ago, like you said, selling at the flea market. And there again, there is a market for everything.
Yeah.
Let it be. you
Yeah.
know,
What I
like
mean, they make that the Ride 1100M that actually I think does close to 1,000 watts. I think
yeah,
they rate it like 1,500, 2,000, whatever. But
which is
and
yeah, it's 1,000 watt amp.
yeah, it's an old design, but it's like an old reliable design. And literally, when Derek he was like, "I'm gonna blow it up on video." Well, he didn't realize that he was literally gonna have to throw bare wire on it to blow it
Oh, that
up.
was the one he threw bare wire on.
Yeah, because he tried everything else and it wasn't blowing.
No, it's
And
not going to.
he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna throw bare wire on it. That ought to do the trick." And surely it did.
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
speaking
remember
on
that.
the topic,
Yes, let's get back to
so
the topic.
it's like, what is the best cheap stuff in car audio? So I figure I can speak from somebody in the DIY, and you can speak for somebody that's coming in as a customer. So
Okay,
I can start
you
off.
first. Yes.
Yeah, fast rings. Fast rings are like $20-$30.
What's that?
Fast rings.
Oh yeah.
I think like those are worth their weight. Easy,
And there's
easy,
and,
all
and
day
we're
long.
using the fast rings as a generic term, like Kleenex for facial tissue, because
Yeah,
now there's several iterations of rings to go around your speakers. So any ring that you can put around the speaker, whether it's a DIY ring from Home Depot with some
yeah,
really inexpensive foam, or whether it's some Sound Shield or the Fast Ring brand, or
right,
Metra's rubber piece that goes on there, anything that allows you to couple the mid bass to the door panel, thus forcing all of the energy through the grill as opposed to getting waved out behind it, and isolating the front of the speaker from the back of the speaker. Yeah, fucking A, definitely worth
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, I will not put a speaker in without doing that, just because it's so cheap that it's like the gain. Now you're not going to get a monumental gain, just from the fast rings. It's a system, like you need sound
Well,
deadening
it's
and
little
everything else. But
okay. So it was funny because I was talking with Greg Cobbs who we interviewed when we were kicking. Greg Copps is a former world record holder, SPL guy. He works at works at Rockford. We interviewed him when we were there. Awesome dude. And he grew up competing against Fukuda.
Right.
And when Fukuda retired, he tells Cobbs, he says, "Hey man, I'm going to tell you the secret to winning." And he laughs, and we were just talking about it. He's like, "Man," he says, "Whiskers, I'm going to tell you the secret for winning." And I finally figured out why they call him Whiskers, because anyways, he goes, "Whiskers, I'm going to tell you the secret to winning." And he's like, "Man," I was like, "It's, and he goes, minimize your losses."
Yeah.
And the reality of it is that's the best advice you could ever possibly get, but it's common sense that no one ever thinks about. So, when you look at putting a speaker into a door, yes, it is every single facet of putting the speaker in the door. Minimizing your losses will improve the gain of the sound that you're going to get from it. So, you buy a speaker. How do you mount the speaker is the first step in the chain of mounting a speaker in the door. So you need a good solid baffle. If you're taking your old factory speaker and cutting the guts out of it and screwing your speaker to it and put it into the door, see it all the time.
Yeah.
That might not be the best way to mount your speaker. Making a custom bracket, buying a custom bracket is probably a little better. Okay. Then sound treatment. There again, not an overly expensive thing when you're talking about just doing a pair of doors. So it's money well spent, which I'm sure was probably on your list.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that will improve, and also adding sound treatment to the bracket, especially if it's one of the Metro brackets or the pack brackets where it's just plastic. Sound treating that, night and day difference, making it more rigid, making it more thick. Adding foam to the back of the speaker, to the back of the bracket. Anywhere where layers are touching layers, there should be a 16th-inch piece of foam gasket between them. And then adding some form of acoustic ring to it is the last step of that. Yep. But each one of those helps minimize the loss in sound that you're going to get, as opposed to just haphazardly screwing a speaker into the door and expecting magic to happen.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and it's like you could either spend $1,000 on an exhaust system for your car to add, let's just say 20 horsepower. You could do that, or you could take every seat out of your vehicle besides the driver's seat, take all the factory sound deadening out, take the tire out, and you're going to be faster for $0, but you're going to destroy your car in the process. But it's just it's depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Now, in my world, as he pointed out, it all depends on what the customer is willing to pay for. 100%. That's my world. My reality is I could suggest all this stuff along with a really nice set of speakers. But if it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget. I mean, I was dealing with a guy today, and I said, "Hey, if you spend $300 more now, it will save you $400 in the future."
Yeah.
Oh man, I just I can't get the $300. And I go, "Hey, that's fine. I'm trying trying to save you money."
Yeah.
If you spend $300 now, you'll save $400.
Yeah.
That's it. If you don't want to do that, it's cool. It's my job to inform you of the path you're going down and your road to get to this point. This is one of those decisions where we could get you there faster and save you money.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out that way.
If you don't come here, I can't save you money.
Well, if you don't have the money, I can't save you the money. So
exactly.
It's just what it is.
Well, it's like when Cassie tells me that, this purse, I saved $300 on it. Like, well, how much was it? Well, it was $300. But we would have saved $300 if you wouldn't have spent anything. That's not how it works, though.
That's flawed logic, man. That's flawed logic.
If you don't spend no money, you save it all.
No, that's not how it works.
All right,
what's the next thing you got?
Another one I had is TechFlex. It's relatively inexpensive. It adds a nice touch to your installs.
It's shiny.
Yeah, and it just looks good. And it's
Yeah.
not, you're not going to gain any sound benefit. You're just going to gain, like, it's going to look nicer.
And if you want to take it one step further, you can Brian Mitchell it up and put LEDs in it that go in a direction that no one will ever see other than the cool little video that you filmed.
Yeah.
And make them all
next
different
level.
colors so that people know.
Yeah. Next level.
Yeah.
What did you have any? Like, what's the one thing you could talk a customer into usually that's kind of cheap that is well worth it? Relatively speaking, it doesn't have to be cheap.
Well, okay, so
relatively speaking,
my okay, relatively cheap. So
right,
a lot of people come in and they want the 5-channel amp because that's like it's like Budweiser.
right, exactly.
It's what it is.
We just want one amp to do everything to rule.
Well, and it just it's the thought, it's what we're convinced. We need a 5-channel amp, 6 speakers, and a sub. So when I talk to them and I try to figure out like the system, one of the things that I often do is go, okay, in trying to figure out what is the most important thing. And what I will suggest is if the budget allows us to buy whatever we want, buy whatever you want. I'm not gonna, if you're buying K2s and you can afford it and you can afford a set of K2 coaxials for the rear, buy them,
Yeah.
Not going to stop you. I'm going to pat you on the back and go, you're doing it right. But yes, what I was going to get at is if you want to spend or save, or add a little bit of money to the install, it might be better to either lose the rear speakers and take that money and put it to the front speakers, and or go down a level on the rear speakers to the minimum that requires. And if we can use the radio to power them, great. And then we put all our effort into the front and more money into the front. So, if you go, all right, I'm going to buy a set of speakers for the front that are $400 to $500. I'm going to buy a set for the rear that match. They're typically going to be, $300.
Mm-hmm.
So I got $800 that I'm spending on a set on these speakers. And it's like, okay, well, what if we change that a little bit? Let's say we spend maybe $120 to $150, take that $150 and then add another $150 into it and apply that to the front. So now it's like going from a focal access up to a focal flax, right. So it's because a lot of the time speaker manufacturers, if you haven't been paying attention at home, if one speaker is $100, the next series is going to be $200 or $225. Then the next speaker above that is going to be $500 because that's how they do it. And they strategically put it that way because it makes no sense to have a speaker, and companies that do this, they make way too many speakers and don't really, they're just yes man. Yeah, you need that, we got it. You need this, we got that too. So if you have a speaker at 100, 150, 200, 225, it makes no sense. They're literally not trying to sell you speakers. They're just trying to take another $25 out of your pocket, because it's like, oh, well, they have a set for 150. Oh, they have another set for 180. Oh, $30 more. I'll just buy those. Run. Don't buy that shit.
Speaker by the pound.
Yeah, it's garbage. It is totally garbage. So I guess my thought would be kind of flip that a little bit and, technically save some money, but maybe spend a little bit more and invest that extra $150 into the front speakers. Yes, a DSP would also be the best buy that you could get into. The problem is, and this is what we were talking about, and I made a couple calls this week because there was something that was bothering me. And you can buy a 5-channel amplifier like a Kenwood 802.5. Okay. One of my favorite little amplifiers. Okay. Mm-hmm. This thing is a freaking tank.
That was one of my cheap things that's worth it. It's like $300-ish something.
Yeah. I think it's 3 something now.
Yeah.
Because of inflation. It used to be $249.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's like shit. Now it's probably 3 something.
Still worth it.
World.
Still worth it.
Oh, still worth it. But You put the D in DSP.
Digital, bro. Digital.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Digital
Class D,
D.
man. Digital.
Yeah.
So okay, so I was like, okay, so we have this amplifier that's 75 watts, 70 watts by 4, 300 by 1. It puts out way more power than that. We dynoed the shit out of it. It's just
Yeah.
amazing what these things can do. And I was like, for $300+, I should be able to buy a version of this amplifier by somebody for between $650 and $700 with a DSP built into it.
Right.
And I posed this question to some of my vendors, and I was like, what do you guys have for 650, 7, it's a 5-channel amplifier with a DSP
Yeah.
that, I mean, even back in the day, the Q Class 1005 was $799, $699, I think, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Which was a deal.
Yeah.
But it's way more power. That's the 1,000 watts. I mean, it's huge compared to this. But I was like, that's a category that is missing. Like,
oh yeah. The only one I could think of offhand, and I don't know if you've used it, is the Sony, the 6-channel.
It's not a DSP though.
Yeah, it's like baby's first DSP. It's like what was in the 80 PRS.
It doesn't count. It's a radio's DSP and an amplifier, which is not a DSP. It's just a toy, and it doesn't count. Fernando's like, well, what about the Infinity? Like, it's a 4-channel. JBL doesn't count either because it's not
40,
big enough. It doesn't have 300 watt subside.
Yeah.
So, and there again, I don't know about like Museway. They may have something, but
maybe
I don't know.
But they're kind of new, and it's like you never know. And
yes,
you don't know about all those brands. You don't know how it's going to be good. Is it going to be consistent? It's just. Yeah.
I mean, guys love it in Europe. That's as far as we know there. And your boy is pimping it now. So.
Oh yeah. Mr. Norton.
Mr. Edward Norton.
Which it looked legit. Like they're heavy. Like they look.
Oh no! Like they're a big deal in Europe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're a big deal in Europe.
And they're in that middle. They're not cheap for sure.
No.
But they're not like Moscone prices.
No, and their main competitor, because they're European, is Helix. That's really who they're putting their head against. But yeah, I know, right? I facepalm my at people still saying Class D is digital.
It's clearly distortion, right?
Yeah, it's distortion amplifier. I mean, that's what a lot of people think because it's Class D. Those are distortion amplifiers. They don't sound as good as ABs.
Yeah. Hey, I was one of those guys because the first Class Ds that came out, let me tell you, those did sound like crap.
Hey, listen, let me tell you what. When you go from a really high end Class AB, like with variable bias and then you go to a Class D amp, you're there's a difference. There's no doubt about it. There's a difference, but you're paying for that difference, drastically. I mean, the Moscone 430 that's in Fernando's car, I will put, and you will know immediately that is not a Class D amplifier. You'll be like, yeah, that's not a Class D amplifier. That sounds way better.
Well, people get confused and think that the cheap Class ABs, which it's cheaper to make a Class AB amp than a Class D sound good. You can make a cheap Class D, but to make a Class D sound good, it's more expensive. So there is a lot of Class AB amps out there that sound pretty good relatively, but they're not on the level of a high bias, like a high Class A bias amp.
Yeah. See you, man. Yeah, so I don't know. What else you got?
What else did I have? So I had DSP, but thinking back, like the speaker thing, I always thought that. Like if I'm running rear fill, I'm spending all the money up front. Then the rear fill is just going to kind of be something that's good, of good quality, but not.
Well, that was the funny thing when I was interviewing Sage in the Bronco. He's like, I never did rear fill until, Moscone came out with their new processor, the new processing in the DSP. Yeah. And he goes, now I can't build a system without rear fill. And I'm like,
Dude,
yeah,
did
like
they
that was
update
something that,
the
yeah.
Moscone? Because let me tell you something. I had the Aerospace 4 to 6.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really feel it, man.
Oh
And I
no,
love Moscone amps.
no,
Like,
but the new software is
yeah,
totally different. The new
yeah,
software is so much better. Oh my gosh. And that was part of the stuff at the training was they spent like almost a half a day or 2/3 of a day on DSP training.
yeah,
And it was really awesome because it's nowhere near as complicated as it was. It's actually like the de-equalization side of it is phenomenal, and if you can work your way through doing that, great. But the actual DSP portion of it that most people are going to use is really really cool.
yeah,
um it's there again when you're on uh, these more expensive DSPs, the software gets exponentially harder because
yeah,
there's more and more stuff that is thrown at you. Like if you're sitting working with the Helix, like or Moscone or any of these,
yeah,
Audison, you know, they're hard to use because they do other things that they still have all the basic stuff. It's kind of like going from a point and shoot to a DSLR, or a phone to something that has buttons and dials and movement. It's
yeah,
like, can I just point it at something and take a picture? Yes. But you can also do all this shit to make the picture better.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you know. And that's where people get caught up in the weeds and they're just like, yeah, no.
yeah.
I don't that sucked. Why
Oh
did
yeah,
I couldn't get it to work right? Yeah, it was its fault.
yeah,
Yeah. Zapco. Okay.
right. Yeah, right.
Got one. Wonder if it works yet. Hasn't worked. Yeah, might be software. Might have updated. Hey guys,
Yeah.
any advice getting more sub output at lower volumes on a KDC 304 without clipping it, etc.? It's a Kenwood. It'll have loudness.
Yeah. Well, and I think like every Kenwood I've tested has been like within 2 clicks of full volume before it clips. So
I've never had one not or
yeah, so
yeah.
you're like you probably got your gain up too high now.
So loudness, real quick, for those of you guys who don't know what loudness is two college geeks came up with plotted the way the human ear hears, and they add a bass and treble boost that is attenuated as you turn up the volume knob. So when you turn the when the system is set up properly, meaning you have your gains properly, and you have the loudest you're going to play the system all dialed in. So nothing is clipping, nothing. This is as loud as I want it to be. When you turn it down, everything comes down at the same level, and it sucks because you're lacking definition and you're lacking deep bass. When you turn on loudness, it adds in a boost like this for bass and treble. But as you turn the system up, it flattens out so that when you're up here again, you're not clipping the signal and you're not distorting the signal because all of that equalization, a common term used now is dynamic equalization. Some products have that built in, and they do it in a couple different ways. Some use voltage, so like you can have a this is one of the things Moscone has in theirs is you can have a low volume setting, and
Right.
then once it reaches a certain voltage output, it'll switch to the high volume setting, and that way you can have it more dynamic at lower volumes, and then it'll be just at higher volumes
Right.
it's just loud anyway, so it's super dynamic. So it has loudness.
Yeah.
Now when you have a radio that has low, medium, and high, or low and high, all that's telling you is how high on the volume knob before it starts to roll off. So if you're like a medium listener, then medium or high. If you're a low volume listener, have it on low. But you can play with that. But that's what loudness is for.
Yeah. And we actually had an episode that was almost exclusively loudness. Go
I
back.
know.
I don't know which one it is. Just go
Yeah, I
back and
know.
look,
We should
watch them
name it
all.
loudness.
I know if I find it, I will rename it loudness. But I
There
did.
you go.
So I did put up. I want to at least acknowledge one person's username in here
Yes.
because they had some good suggestions. Well, here you go. Solid clean grounds. Those are free. Zip
Yes.
ties.
Those are
Okay.
free.
Right here. Tom Selika. He just like his question. All right, I feel like we should try to answer his question just because he had a funny nickname,
Okay.
even though it's a pet peeve one. Best bang for the buck mids and highs are the CS.
I mean, yeah, okay. It's hard to answer that question. CS for sure. CS is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, it was funny. I was just like, because we were at the Focal thing, and one of the things that we were talking about, and some of the guys were bitching about, was Auditor, because Auditor's been around forever, and it used to be called just Auditor, and it wasn't in the Focal line. And Nalika was like, listen, we either need to shit or get off the pot on this one. We either fucking bring it into the line, or let's just get rid of it. And so, you know, the new Auditor stuff that we just had in Haley's car, fucking hey, man, like,
yeah,
you didn't pay for that Focal sound, man.
I would even shout out the Maximo.
Oh well, the Maximo is by far the you know the HE, the Maximo HE 6.5. You know, if you want to get into Morel and you want to know what it's like to own a Morel, the Maximo HE,
even the coax is like $129 or something.
It's
ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you know, and that's the thing. A lot of people go, oh, if I can't buy, you know, like K2s or hybrids or Virtus or the Hertz Milli Legends or you know, all of the high-end stuff, oh, that's garbage. I can't. No, all these manufacturers make affordable versions of their speakers, and they're all awesome, and they all sound great. You know, so it's one of those things where it's like, listen, I'm all for buying a set of Kicker CS, like fucking A, by far. Yeah, those things, they rock.
Yeah.
But if you want to get a little esoteric and you want to see what it's like to live on the other side, like these entry-level exotics are fucking on point, man. But a lot of people just don't think of them because it's not what they're known for. You know, they're known for $1,000 set of speakers.
And that's where they think like, oh, it's going to cost me $1,000. I don't know.
It's like, check those out, man. You won't be disappointed.
We should end on that note. If you guys want to watch us do some hocus pocusing reviewing, we're going to do that on a little channel called Sidejag. Any other pearls of wisdom?
Hey, tune in next week.
Yeah.
We'll have tons of pearls. You might even get a pearl necklace.
Oh, hey.
That's a song.